name's Michael Bosey. Welcome to my podcast, Marketing Without the Marketing. Very glad that you're here. Now, I've been in the middle of this series, as you know, if you've been following along, which is Content Marketing 201. I'm talking about sort of next level strategies on blogging in particular recently. But this series encompasses web, blogging, social media, email strategy, and ultimately we'll get to the very end of the pathway, which is the online store. Now, I was going to talk about repurposing content, which is a favorite topic of mine and next up in this series. I use this strategy all the time and I get a lot out of it, and I'm very, very eager to share that with you. However, I want to pause for a story because, well, first of all, it's directly relevant to the topic at hand. And it's fresh in my mind. It just happened last week, and I wanted to share it with you. The story begins at a place called the Square Root in Roslindale, Mass. And this is a neighborhood of Boston. And this place is fairly new. And they're a cafe, restaurant by day, and sort of a nightclub at night, right? They host live music. My band is played there. The sound is great there. This place is owned and run by musicians, and they really care about things like that. So it's a great place to see live music. Good tap list, good food, all of that. So really welcome addition to the neighborhood, and you should check it out if you're local to the Boston area. Now, the other day, I was in to pick up some lunch, and I ran into a good friend of mine and her 8-year-old son. And we got to talking about how this was a great addition to the neighborhood and all of that. And she was like, "Oh, hey, has the band played here yet?" I said, "Yeah, it was just a few weeks ago. It was really great. All the things that I just mentioned, great sound and just really good environment. Really glad that there's a place that's highlighting local music. All of that. Awesome." And her 8-year-old asked two of the most important questions like only a child can do. And this is the whole point of this episode, which is these two questions. First question, what's the band's name? Great. The band is the Rockmores. And second question, even a more important question, is the title of this episode, are you famous? Now, my response was a little tongue-in-cheek. I said, depends on who you ask. But this struck me, this question in particular, and which is why I wanted to create a whole episode on it, because it cut right to the core of what's important to anyone in marketing, was a question from an 8-year-old. Sometimes you get this level of clarity from a child who's smart and asks the right questions, and this is definitely the right question. All right, first, the name, right? The first question, what's the band's name? This was a test. What he was really saying here was, have I heard of you, right? And if the answer to that is yes in this test, then he doesn't have to even ask the next question, right? We've made the connection. Okay, I get it. I know you. I'll grant you my attention, my respect, my whatever, because I know you. However, if the answer is no, which clearly it was the case in this interaction, we need to do a further test. Hence the question, are you famous? And I love this question because it's so direct. Really what we're asking here is, should I pay attention to you or not? It's a search for social proof that you are worth my time. You are worth the time it takes for me to pay attention to you. And attention is the thing that's scarce now, right? So this is a valid question. Now, out in the real world of trying to build our businesses, the people that you interact with, they're not going to be as direct as this very smart and incisive little 8-year-old, right? But they're going to do the same thing. They're just going to be more subtle about it. So for instance, if they don't recognize you by name, they're going to look for social proof that you matter, and this is fair, right? This is why we need to show up week after week and interact with people via blog, email, social media. Our interactions form a record, right? And when they're public, people can see those interactions. how you interact, what is it that you're producing, how often, all this stuff. Are you reliable? Are you trustworthy? All this stuff matters if we're doing our marketing, and especially from the perspective of a small business, right? We're not paying for advertising or showing up to get in front of people when they don't expect us or are not welcome. We're doing it to try to earn their attention little by little by putting valuable stuff out there. And look, this is why my band, the Rockmores, has to play live shows. I mean, well, look, it's fun as well, but the goal here is to interact with people, to form connections. It's the same thing with this podcast. You're listening right now, which means that, look, it answers that first question, right? You know me. You know who I am. Maybe you've listened to enough where you trust me and you want to come back. Hence the last episode about building anticipation. Or maybe you've tried it out, and whether it's this episode or not, and you're like, this is not for me. Okay, great. So you move on, you look for somewhere else to get this type of information. All that's fair, right? Now, just because I produce this podcast, no, that doesn't mean that I'm famous. But again, it depends on who you ask. All right, I'll stop there. But if you're interested in a little bit more about the music that I produce, the band that I was talking about is the Rockmores, which you can find out more about at therockmores.com. We just produced an album this year, our first album, and 100% of what we collect from the sales of this record go to charities. So there's a little incentive to buy. I know people don't buy music much anymore, but of course we're on Spotify and Apple Music and Google and all of that as well. But if there's a little incentive to download it, just know that we take 100% of whatever it is that you pay, and we turn that over to a charity of our choice. And besides the band, I do my own music as well, which you can get at michaelbosey.com/music. I got demos in there too and all of that. And if you're interested, I am grateful. And hey, for all of those of you who asked about the red guitar from a couple episodes ago, where I was talking about the episode title is A Simple Example of Ethical Business Practices, I found a new one. It's used, actually, not new, but I found it on eBay. I got it just last week, and it's awesome. So that story comes to a nice close. So go back to that episode if you want to hear the whole story of the red guitar, the elusive red Jazzmaster. I got one, and I love it. Anyway, thanks for spending some time with me. I'm going to get back to the series in the next episode and talk about repurposing content. Hope that you'll join me, and thanks for listening to this episode.